Seb, we said the SGFC would be returning every week, but life has got in the way. But fear not, we are back. The SGFC transfer talk has returned. And you're not going to be hearing a lot of me today because Seb is on the pulse. He is like Fabrizio Romano's paler shadow. He just following him around, wants all the transfer news. But we're going to be talking all the big moves involving the big Premier League sides and West Ham. Joining me, as I already mentioned, is my younger brother and co-host of the SGFC podcast, Seb. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. A little bit achy, Started running home from work, trying to get a bit healthier before I turn 30. It's not going well.
No. How long does it take you to run home?
About 40 minutes to an hour, depending on how lazy I'm feeling.
Yep, I'm good. I am not running anywhere because I work from home. So I run from my desk to the sofa. But yeah, I'm all good. Life is very busy right now. And so it's been quite hard to keep up with the football. We saw each other this weekend. We watched some good preseason games. But the Premier League is now 2 weeks away. And I just want to start watching the real stuff.
Yes. Let's start with the Community Shield and then get going.
Oh, God, I probably wouldn't even watch the Community Shield. I don't count it in anything. I know Pep Guardiola counts it as a major trophy, but I don't even count it as, a preseason trophy.
Oh, no, I'm going to be all over it. I reckon it'll be a good game.
No, never interested in that. Let's talk big transfers though, Seb, because there's a lot of stories going on involving a lot of the big teams. Where do you want to start?
I was going to start with Chelsea, but I think we start with a confirmed one with Man United.
Okay, hit me.
Them finally getting their striker, though it might not be a name people were thinking. Rasmus Højlund, the 20-year-old Atalanta striker.
Yep.
At, I believe, the base fee is £64 million, but can rise up to, I think it's 80.
It's a lot of money for a 20-year-old. And I'm going to say unproven striker.
I think that's fair. Based on the fact that he only started playing in the team in January.
Obviously, we all know Man United were in for Kane, potentially. Then they were they were flirting with the idea of going for Napoli's Victor Osimhen. And the fact they've gone from those established names to what I would call an unknown potential is potentially worrying for Man United fans. But why have they spent so much money on this guy?
It's honestly they've seen something that I can't say I've seen because I've barely watched him. I watched one Atalanta game last season. He played half an hour. But he's a big guy. I think he's 6'2". He's quite rapid. His touch is supposed to be all right. He's got a good finish on him. Got a hat-trick on his debut for his international. I think it's Denmark.
Yep.
So, there is potential there, but they've definitely seen something that I haven't because it's a lot of money to put out there.
It is
20 years old. It's brave.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of money. I mean, he's on he will be on a 5 or 6 year deal. And I'm sure there's a payment plan involved. They're not stumping it all up straight away. But yeah, I mean, from what I can see from his stats, I mean, he's got 6 goals in 6 games for Denmark. But if you say he scored a hat-trick in his first game, we've not got a lot of data to go off.
No.
And I'm pretty sure, despite what Ronaldo was saying about, Man United's resources and their infrastructure, they've probably got a bit more information than we do. I don't know what to make of this. I can't say it's a good signing. I can't say it's a bad signing. All I can say is, for me, it's risky.
In terms of the position, it's one they needed to make. In terms of the actual guy, if it comes off, they've got a striker for the next decade. If it doesn't, it's another 60 to 80 million pound sign they've made that hasn't worked, which will be the third or fourth one in a row.
Yeah, we all understand what Man United will be trying to do this season. They'll be trying to close the gap on Manchester City, who have established strikers. They have a World Cup winning striker, and they have another striker who tears up the record books wherever he plays. Now, if you're a Man United fan and you see that your club's response is signing a 20-year-old striker who's only really got 6 months of senior level football, I'm concerned. I don't think it's the sort of statement signing that Man United fans are expecting.
I don't know. Like being on Twitter, I think Man United have been so starved of a striker that like they're rolling out the red carpet for him. You think they've signed like Haaland or Mbappe? Like they're going absolutely nuts over him.
But is Rashford not considered a striker?
No, he's more of a winger / inside forward.
I mean, we've seen Rashford play as a striker. And how many goals did he get last season? 30 plus?
He was on the left for most of that.
I would still rate him to go down the middle. But, I mean, if he can, which he can, there are options now, I guess. You know, there are different things that Man United can try rather than having to stick to the same old formula as they were last season.
Yeah, it also puts a bit of pressure on Ten Hag. Like, he asked for Anthony, spent 85 million on him.
Yep.
He's now asked for a striker. I don't know if this is the striker he asked for. Now splash big money on this guy as well. Like, how many big signings is he going to need to make before it has to work?
You've got to think that there is a level of expectation with this signing, and like I say, with the others that have been made now, that there needs to be a top 4 finish 100%, and there needs to be some sort of trophy this season.
Yeah.
I don't know if the ownership would accept a Carabao Cup. I think they might accept an FA Cup potentially, or very far into European territory.
Yeah, I can see that. It also gets rid of this whole, Man United, because we got this takeover, we're so poor. Like we're not sure if we can afford Mason Mount. All this Onana deal's gonna have to wait till we sell people. It's like they just spent almost 200 million and not sold anyone.
Yeah. I mean, they are trying to sell Harry Maguire, and I think Onana has probably had a few words with the management to try and get rid of Maguire after the angry rant he had at him in his first game.
It looks like he had a word with Maguire.
Yeah.
Just get out.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. It's an interesting signing. But as we well know, and let's move on to it now, there are other big clubs looking for big strikers.
Yes, of course, we have to go on to our beloved Chelsea. Late last night, it was reported that Juventus had opened talks with Chelsea about Lukaku Vlahovic swap deal. Now, I know exactly how you feel about this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What are your thoughts?
It's just the worst swap deal I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Juventus will be offloading a striker that just hasn't worked in a league where defenses are extremely slow, but somehow Vlahovic still can't score a lot of goals, and they'll be receiving Lukaku, who seems to gain 20 kilos every preseason. It speaks out against any club that isn't Inter Milan, despite signing for them months before. It's not going to work for either club, for either player. And I don't know what the thought process is here, especially on Chelsea's end.
We're normally in sync, but for once, I'm going to disagree with you. I actually don't think this is that bad.
You're happy to see Vlahovic play at Chelsea?
Yeah. Just let me talk. I know you're going to cut me off.
No, go on. I'll listen to this rubbish.
Okay. Let's start with Lukaku's side. He's got to go.
Oh,
no one Inter. He's already French kissed the Juve badge, so Inter don't want him. He doesn't want to go to Saudi. Juve's their only option, but they can't afford him straight cash. So they're trying to offload their expensive striker. When we were interested in Vlahovic originally, they were like, we want 80 million euros. Naturally, Chelsea walked away. But if we can get him for, what is it? They said between 35 and 40 million euros.
That's the latest figure. It's Lukaku plus 40 million.
Well, euros. So what's that? 30 to 33 million pounds.
No, it's about 38 million pounds. So generally, the exchange rate is dog shit.
Even at 38 million pounds, you offload a bad egg who's on the highest wages at the club. You get in a competent striker to play and compete with Jackson. And if it does work, then you've got gained a great European striker. If it doesn't work, you bought him in at a low enough fee that you could probably get your money back.
I don't see it, Seb. I just don't see Vlahovic, who got 10 goals in Serie A last season.
It's not his fault.
Why is it not his fault?
Because Allegri plays Roman football. When I say Roman, I mean like football from like 3,000 years ago. Like,
right, okay.
He just plays the worst football on the planet. He plays like a flat 4-4-2 with 2 DMs and 2 defensive wingers and just hopes his strikers can score goals. Like, if you're not going to give the ball to the striker, he can't score a goal.
I mean, I'm looking through his record for the last few seasons, and
look at Fiorentina days.
Yeah, sure. Looking at Fiorentina days, he got in the 2021 season, he got 21 goals in, let's say, 40 games. And in 21-22, he got 17 in 21. Solid numbers. Great
numbers.
But
then he moved to the worst footballing team on the planet right now.
Right, which he's been at for 2 seasons now. And do you reckon his fitness has held up? Do you reckon his mindset is in the same place it was in the Fiorentina days? No.
Yeah,
hell no.
That can get reignited. And let's say Brozier has been out with a long-term injury. He can't just come straight back in and expect to back up Jackson.
No, but you've got Jackson, who has been a very impressive preseason. Again, it's preseason. The opponents haven't really been, except Brighton and Fulham, I guess. They've been okay opposition. But then you've got Nkunku, who can play as like a shadow striker.
We don't want him to play striker.
No, of course you don't want him to. But I would much rather use Nkunku as a utility man and bring in better midfielders than spending the money on this striker that just isn't going to work for Chelsea. It's not going to work.
We all said the same thing about Jackson. It's like, all we've got is this 21-year-old kid. And then we started watching him play, and now everyone's hyped about him.
Because this is a kid that was hungry. He was playing in an okay side, and he's got a lot of potential to fulfill. And his ceiling, he hasn't hit his ceiling yet. I think even though Vlahovic is 23, he's already hit his ceiling. He has already hit his prime of Fiorentina 2 years ago. I think he doesn't recapture that form in a tougher, more physical Premier League.
I think the way that we're aim to play football this season would suit him perfectly. Just someone to put the ball in the net once we're finished.
Extremely fast attacking football.
All he's got to do is arrive in the box. That's all he's got to do.
At the same time that Mudryk and Nkunku are, who are leagues above him in terms of pace.
I think as a competition, like to buy him for pretty much the same price as we bought Jackson, but a more proven striker, I think it's worth doing. And to get Lukaku off our books, I think it's a good move.
Of course, yeah, I agree with you in getting Lukaku off Chelsea's books has been the number one priority of the transfer window, and still might happen, still might not. We don't know what's going on. Maybe he'll do an Mbappe style sort of protest. Who knows? I just don't rate this. I can see this being a Morata signing, that he gets a couple of goals, he goes on a little streak, and then he starts getting barged around by the likes of Van Dijk and all the big Man City defenders, your Kanjis and that lot, and he just dips off and he just doesn't find the space that he's used to. He doesn't find the pace that he's used to. He won't keep up.
But even if he doesn't, because we bought him for such a low fee, we can get our money back on him.
But
he'll only be 24.
He will only be 24. But what we've seen now, the Saudi League has very much highlighted the fact that the Premier League really struggles to sell players. They really struggle to sell their top stars. There are a very small pool of clubs that will take top Premier League players. We've seen you've got Real Madrid, Barcelona when they pull a lever or two, Bayern Munich to a certain extent, and PSG. But PSG don't really tend to go for the Premier League players. They'll find their own ways. There aren't clubs out there that will shell out 50, 60, 70 million pounds for these players. That's why they've shifted so many people to Saudi.
I still think it's worth a pop.
I'm not convinced. If he proves me wrong, fantastic. But he won't. This is my first preseason prediction. Vlahovic will be gone the end of the season.
Okay, so let's go if he is signed, how many goals do you think he scores next season?
10.
I'd actually be okay with 10. Like, Chelsea had 0 strikers last season. Now we might have 2. Like, I'll take that as a win.
He will score 10 goals. He will start the first 5 games. He'll get 2. He'll get 2 in his. He'll get 2 in his first 3. Then he won't score for 3-4 games. Jackson will come in, start popping them in, and then he'll lose his confidence and he'll be out next summer.
Could you imagine having Vlahovic as your backup striker?
I don't want him any sort of backup striker. I don't want him at Chelsea. You know, Grant, he's like 10 years older than the other players that Chelsea are signing at the moment, which is a positive. But it's not a good signing.
The rumour is that Poch wants him. We've got to trust Poch.
Poch needs and wants midfielders that aren't 16. Because we've got Enzo Fernandez, Conor Gallagher, who's barely out of his teenage years.
But apparently we can't afford them.
Well, anyway, that's another topic for later on in the discussion. Let's go from strikers to goalkeepers, shall we? Let's go the other end of the pitch.
Okay. So Chelsea being linked to yet another Brighton player, Robert Sanchez, the keeper that's been frozen out of Brighton due to, I think it was him wanting to leave.
Makes sense.
So they just chucked him to the side, got the former Sunderland keeper in, and seems to be doing quite well.
Yeah, he's doing all right. I don't know how much Chelsea are looking to pay for Sanchez.
I saw a quote of like 20 million, which is way too much.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's more than 15, walk away.
Yeah, literally.
I know Todd Bowley's obsessed with Brighton players. I know he wants to get whoever he possibly can out of that club. Caicedo is just a non-story at this point. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Chelsea have wasted far too much time and resources trying to sign this potentially 80 million pound rated player. Don't bother. Yeah. Find better alternatives. You know, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
As we've seen so far, our 40 to 50 million pound players seem to be hitting the mark.
Yeah. We don't need the stupidly over-expensive midfielders. We've got enough of them. Don't need any more.
It's lazy scouting.
It is. Sanchez, again, if you can get him for 15 million, great, cool, lovely cup keeper. Not that Chelsea will be in many cups this year. It's fine. The goalkeeper I do want to talk about, David Raya, another goalkeeper frozen out of Brentford now because of his public desire to leave. Was bringing in apparent interest from like Chelsea, Man United at the beginning of the window. And now Arsenal have agreed personal terms and are looking to get a contract signed. We discussed this at the weekend. Is there something wrong with Ramsdale, or what's going on with this transfer?
It's an odd one, like because it looked like he was heading to Bayern Munich. Like
at one point, yeah,
and then suddenly Bayern pulled out because of interest from Arsenal. Ramsdale, I think he did make a few mistakes, but he's young. They generally had a very good season. Yeah,
I think Ramsdale was probably one of the success stories. Where we and every other media outlet laughed at him when he signed for Arsenal, and he's made us all eat our words. I think the level, if David Raya is coming in as a second goalkeeper, I think it's pointless. I think it's a bad move for his career, and it's a bad move on Arsenal's career. Oh, not career, their season outlook. Don't bother.
That's it. It's well, I don't think they'll actually pay 40 million, but it's going to be a lot. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, he is better with his feet, but how important is it in the grand scheme of things, really?
Like, if you talk to Pep Guardiola and Eric Ten Hag, it's the 12th outfielder, you know.
Yeah, like I saw a joke from an Arsenal fan say he's planning to play both goalkeepers as inverted goalkeepers.
Yeah. I don't
understand the signing at all. To me, it's a complete waste of money considering how much they've already spent.
And from David Raya's perspective, I mean, he must know that if Arsenal are going to sign him, he's not going to be first choice. Like, he can fight for it, of course. But as a goalkeeper, if there is already an established number one, you get very few opportunities to show and fight to replace them. You know, it's only if Ramsdale throws the ball in his own net that you'll start to get a look in. And that's not going to happen.
I'd be absolutely fuming if I was Ramsdale as well.
Mm.
To be like, what did I really do wrong? And now you're looking to sign sort of a £40 million goalkeeper.
I don't know. I mean, it was interesting that Bayern Munich pulled out, and the reason the alleged interest from Arsenal put them off, but also the fact they are saving their money because they're going to put in another bid for Kane.
Yeah.
They don't want to spend money on a goalkeeper. Their current keeper, Jan Sommer, is looking to move to Inter, who would be replacing Onana, who went to Man United. But Bayern Munich want to try and get closer to the €100 million valuation of Kane. And I think that's a better use of their money than buying a £40 million David Raya.
Yeah, I agree. Especially apparently the meeting they had with Daniel Levy was quite positive, which is encouraging them to bid again.
Yeah. Will he actually let Kane go though?
I don't think he's given them a number, but I think if they hit a certain point, he will. Because I think privately Kane said to him, "Look, I want to go to Bayern," and like it's either you take the money now or he walks for free, and you're fuming.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I think that one's going to go down to the wire.
Yeah.
Which is bad because you do want Kane to get a bit of preseason in with Spurs or with Bayern Munich. I don't think he's actually had any yet. Has he appeared
He played in the last preseason, scored a pen.
Right. Typical.
The commentator famously said, like, that might be his last goal for Tottenham.
Could be. It'd be good if he did go just for Chelsea and me, but it would be obviously a huge loss to the Premier League.
Flicking back to Chelsea, as they do have a couple of incomings, I'm going to call him Leslie because I can't pronounce his surname yet.
Yeah.
If anyone does know how to pronounce it, please let us know.
Give it a go. Go on, give it a try.
I need it in front of me, otherwise
I've got it in front of me, and it's you got Chuwaka. It sounds like I'm trying to sing like the Shakira song, like Waka Waka. But okay. Anyway, carry on.
Oh, hold on a second. That totally threw me off. Yes, so Leslie, a CDM, 19 years old, 6'3", and I don't know what to make of another 19-year-old centre mid.
Yeah, Chelsea got a lot of them.
Yes,
quite a few. He has joined from Rennes. He's only played 52 senior games, scored 1 goal, but like I say, deep lying midfielder, likes to get forward, likes to pass the ball around. He seems to have a good range passing on him, but he's 19. Yeah. Even on the Chelsea website, Pochettino came out and said, "I don't know what we're going to do with him. I don't know if he's going to stay. I don't know if he's going to go." And that makes you think it's another one of these signings that the board are making for the future. He signed a 7-year contract. Will he go to Strasbourg? Don't know. Will he go to Premier League? Will he go Championship? We've got no idea. But it's just the Chelsea crash just gets bigger and bigger,
Yeah, I think we have to look at the big picture. I think 80% of these kids aren't making the first team.
No,
they're there to increase their value and then sell them on.
It's back to the Chelsea of old, the Franco de Santos, the what was it, Lucas Pizon, what was the German kid, Marco Marin.
That's it.
All of that lot, who I think we got a combined £4 million for.
The only one we actually sold for profit was Christian Atsu.
Yeah, it was that we got him for like 15 mil or something. They did okay out of him.
He did all right, yeah. God rest his soul. He's no longer with us.
Yeah, this Leslie kid, again, we don't know what's going to happen. It's just Chelsea are just all over the place. And I thought by bringing Poch in, they just at least have someone at the helm just saying, right, this is what I want. Don't bother about signing him. No point. Don't bother. Sign him next year. Let him play some football first. Just get me the players I need right now.
Well, I don't know if he asked for this next one either, but highly coveted centre-back, wanted by lots of different clubs, Axel Disasi from Monaco is now signing for Chelsea as, I assume, a Fofana replacement.
Is it a here we go from Fabrizio Romano?
He finishes medical today.
Oh, right. Okay, fine. So this is the Monaco defender who was teammates with Benoit Badiashile.
Yeah, they were actually centre-back partners.
Yeah. Fair enough. And like you say, Fofana out with shocking another long-term injury, really paying back the £70 million that Chelsea paid for him. And yet, just going to walk straight in as a centre-back replacement. Obviously, no Koulibaly anymore. Trevor Chalobah sort of seems to be flirting with the exit door at Chelsea. And Thiago Silva, at now 39, just can't play every game as much as we wish he could.
No, I think it's more of a Fofana replacement for this season and Silva's long-term replacement.
Yeah. I think this has got to be Silva's last season, right?
Well, we've said this for a while. It's like, if he performs...
We've been saying it since 2006.
As if he puts in a solid shift, I'm more than happy to keep giving him a 1-year contract.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Again, this is why I wanted to keep Azpilicueta around. Even if he plays one game a season, to have Thiago Silva in your dressing room changes the complexion of your team.
Yeah.
And with the amount of sort of young sort of South Americans that have come into the team as well, people like Andre Santos, it's good to have him there as the mentor.
Yeah. We know that he has flirted with the idea of going back to Fluminense, and I think he will.
Yeah.
Whether Chelsea, depending on how he plays, whether Chelsea can get another year out of him, we'll see how the season goes.
If they manage him and just play, if he only plays 20 games this season, and plays 20 games next season, that's a result. Absolute result.
Massive result.
Do you want to hear about another random young striker signing?
Yes.
Everton flirting with relegation desperately last season. So to quell their striking worries of the forever injured Calvert-Lewin, have signed or about to sign unknown striker Youssef Chamiti, 6'4", 19 years old, Portuguese striker playing at Sporting Lisbon, with the vastly impressive 16 appearances, 3 goals.
Sounds like an Everton signing.
I don't know how much he's going for. I think it's around 20, 25 mil. I don't understand.
You don't think you get a more proven striker for that price somewhere else?
Yeah. There are strikers and there's players on the market that have proven Premier League experience. And something that Everton are crying out for is proven Premier League experience.
Yes.
Go on.
They also got Dan Juma on loan.
That's a better signing. That's a bit more what I want to see. Obviously, I think Sean Dice might be looking to bring Dele Alli back into the fold. Although did you see his miss the other day in pre-season?
No, I didn't.
He was genuinely on the goal line. Ball got crossed into him and it almost went out for a throw-in. And I just felt for him. I was like, mate, that could have really helped you. Even though it's a pre-season game, that could have really helped you. But yeah, it was bad to watch.
Oh, God, it's going to be a rough season for Everton.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough season for a lot of teams. And we will be here to cover it on all of our social media platforms. So check us out at SGFC Podcast on the Twitter, or is it X.com now? Have they changed it all? I don't know. Elon Musk just is as bad as Todd Bowley, if not worse. MySpace, Instagram, Bebo, Facebook, MSN, Threads. There's new social media platforms every day, and I can't keep up with them. TikTok and, of course, YouTube, which you're probably watching this. Help us get more subscribers. Really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who already has. Do we have one last transfer story to finish on?
Yes, we are going to finish on that huge, incredible club, West Ham.
Oh.
Who, after selling Declan Rice for a record £105 million, have signed exactly 0 people and have walked away from 3 deals.
Yeah, one of those deals could genuinely have been season-changing.
Yes, in one of my favourite players, James Ward-Prowse, who a West Ham reporter said not 2-3 hours ago that they were in advanced talks and it was progressing well. And then literally an hour later, West Ham have walked away.
So why have they walked away from potentially one of the best English midfielders at the moment?
Because he's going to cost too much money.
I've heard figures of 40 mil.
Which sounds about right.
Which, I mean, West Ham are probably saying, listen, Southampton, you've been relegated. You get what you're given. But he's an English midfielder. He's got years in his contract. That's the price you pay, and he is a very good English midfielder.
Yeah, like just pay the money. Like you have it. Clubs
Yeah,
know you have it.
exactly. Which Southampton will take advantage of. Of course, they're not going to go from their asking price, but they don't have to because James Ward-Prowse is under contract and no one else is coming in for him.
Exactly.
And
So
he's so loyal like a Labrador. He'll probably play a season in the Championship.
that's just what I was about to say. He hasn't kicked up a fuss. Like
No.
if he stays, he stays.
Yeah, he'll just keep playing. I mean, I don't think Southampton will come straight back up. They'll play a season and then go for cheap.
That's it. It's West Ham. To be a West Ham fan right now, I feel so bad for you.
Yeah, who else? I know they're struggling to sell Skamaka at the moment. Who I'm glad they managed to find him. Don't know where he was. We haven't seen him all season. He's probably hiding in the locker still, playing. He's playing hide and seek with like David Moyes or something.
Apparently, he's off to Inter.
Yeah, for 20 mil.
Yeah,
great Lukaku replacement, just as annoying, and perhaps not as talented, but fine, cool. Take that deal quickly.
Yeah.
And who else they've been struggling with?
It's not just James Ward-Prowse they're struggling with. They've been hijacked by Ajax for a Man City kid at literally the 11th hour.
Yep.
And they've also struggled for this other guy, Borges.
Yeah, that is the Man City kid. Yes.
Man City kid,
yeah, Carlos Borges. And they inquired for Balogun from Arsenal, but they said, sure, yeah, he's going to cost you 50 million though. Which is so cheeky from Arsenal. Like, we've just paid you 105 mil for Rice.
I was to say, if any club knows you have money, it's Arsenal.
Exactly. Like, it's cheeky from Arsenal, but they don't have to sell. They're not in a position they don't need the money. So it's going to be a tough few weeks for West Ham. How long have we got left of the transfer window?
End of August, so a month.
Still literally got a month today. We'll be keeping on top of it. And everything else Premier League related as the league returns in 2 weeks. Thank God. Football will be back and we will be here weekly covering it on Spotify, on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. Check us out on all the social links at SGFC Podcast. You'll find us on literally everything, posting on most of them. So if you can't see us posting on one, go check out another one. Subscribe. We really appreciate everyone that already has. Give this a like. Give us a follow. Really, really appreciate it. Seb, say goodbye to everyone at home right now.
We'll see you next week. See you later, guys.
And we'll see you next week. As Seb said, goodbye from us at the SGFC Football Podcast.